Hi, you're on the Alice Reddit Stories channel. Subscribe to my channel as well as to my Facebook, the link is in the description. Enjoy watching. Storytime BC. I feel like I need to put this somewhere and off my chest. Would love feedback. So this past Friday, I get a text out the blue saying, hey, ____ picked me up and I'm gonna be with her for the day. Weird, I thought. Even replied with a confused gif. She goes on. Yeah, ____ mew out of nowhere and asked to have a girl's day. Weird, but okay, I thought. No reason to think otherwise. I get off work and make it home around 6 and I text her. She replies back quickly. Time goes by and I'm starting to ask myself, how come my wife hasn't checked on the kids? Very unlike her. So I text her a simple WID at 830. No answer. Weird, but okay. I text her friend who picked her up and the same, no response. I wait an hour and now I know for sure something is going on. BC. No one has replied to me and my wife and her friend stay on their phone. So now I'm calling and texting her like crazy. Nothing. So now I'm pissed off because I know for a fact I'm deliberately being ignored by my wife. Her friend finally messaged me back at 11 o'clock and says, oh, we just been here in the garage talking and left our phones upstairs. That had to be the biggest load of BS I've ever heard. Mind you, this whole time my wife was supposedly there knowing I'm looking for her but not calling me. Again, weird. So now I'm going back and forth with the friend about how stuff don't look right. And her replies are giving my wife away. Finally at 1140 my wife answers her FaceTime but is only showing the top of her head and slurring while talking. And I'm asking her, why are you the only one that sounds drunk? You can hear her friend in the background claiming to be drunk, but really aren't. I tell her to go to the restroom so I can see and hear her clearly. So now we're talking while she's on the toilet saying she's removing a tampon. BC. She spotted. We just had sex the night before and I didn't have that period smell. So she finally works her way out the bathroom after I grilled her about where she's been and her lying over saying she's been at her friend's all day. Fast forward to 4 a.m. and now I'm getting her Uber home because her friend is doing hair. She gets home and washes her thing. BC. It has a spot on it from her earlier. I take her phone and check it and she forgot to delete a number that she called from text now. It show on her calls but not on her app. Busted. I text the number hey and wake up to a text that says, hey. I thought you were deleting my number. Yep, my gut intuition was right. Now that I caught her, all she's saying is they had drinks and talked and that's it. No explanation except, when you got caught you were quiet too. Turns out she was with this guy from 4:20-11 at some unknown spot that isn't a drinking spot. I have so many questions and the fact that she's rather let my mind go crazy than tell me what happened with all I have found out lets me know she finally cheated on me. AMA. I, 21F, have been going out with Mike, 26M, for 2 months. We met on Tinder and talked for a week before we started hanging out. He seemed really interesting. He was very handsome, he was a med student, and he seemed to have a good sense of humor. After our first date, we slept together and before I went home, we agreed to go to a movie that weekend. We saw the movie and I spent the night at his place for the first time after. Since then, we have spent every single weekend together, since he's very busy during the week doing rotations for med school. I have also started cooking for him every Wednesday night, which we've been doing for about a month, because he's so busy with school and I wanted to find a way to support him to show him that I care. We told each other that we're not seeing other people about a month after talking, and he has told me more than once that he really likes me. I definitely noticed as we hung out more that he was no longer on his best behavior and I started to see some unsavory traits. He has a very big ego and being a med student doesn't help. He constantly thinks he's right about everything, even things that he does not have authority on. He will try to tell me things that I said when I know I didn't say it and he'll refuse to believe me, saying that he knows he's right. The other night he tried to tell me, a recovering alcoholic with 11 months sober, that addiction wasn't a disease and he didn't think that we were helping anyone by saying that. He also gets extremely upset over little, honest mistakes. He hates when I interrupt him, even when almost always I catch myself immediately after and say, "I'm sorry I cut you off, what were you saying?" He will make a big deal out of it and won't speak, saying, "No, obviously what you had to say is much more important, I'll shut up." Don't forget to support my channel by subscribing, thank you. I have ADHD and come from a loud family where everyone interrupts each other, so I try very hard to be polite, but sometimes I slip up, and he doesn't understand that. Another example is when I messed up baking and I accidentally completely melted butter in the microwave that just needed to be softened. He got really upset with me, and when I was trying to come up with solutions, he shot them all down and honestly made me feel really dumb. It just feels a little excessive when I'm going out of my way to bake for you and you're not even helping me. When I went to go redo the butter, he baited me, watching over my shoulder like a hawk and making sure I paid attention to the microwave time. Now I do believe in typical gender roles, and he does emulate a very good masculine man. He always pays whenever we go out, and he does assert himself as in charge, which I like, but it comes with that kind of toxic attitude along with the huge ego. He's appreciative at times. He'll always thank me for cooking for him or for being a good sport about going out, even though I have social anxiety. Actually, now that I'm thinking about it, that's about it. He really doesn't thank me for anything else. So this weekend is where everything changed. His two friends from med school, CJ and Liz, were coming to visit and stay with him, so we had planned to spend the weekend together. They were in town for a college football game that was happening Saturday night. The plan was to spend the weekend together, and then while CJ and Liz went to the game, Mike and I were going to do our own thing. I don't like football at all, but I enjoy spending time with Mike, so I watch it pretty much every weekend with him. Friday night was perfect except for one speed bump. I hadn't been able to find my wallet with my driver's license all week, and I didn't know if they were going to ID to get into the bar we were going to. Even though I don't drink, it's always smart to have your ID, just in case. I knew that I needed to get my passport from my car before we left to go to the bar. But I also needed a jacket for my car, and I got caught up looking for the right jacket to match my outfit and completely forgot my passport. Mike and I get to the bar and I realize I don't have my passport, so I tell him. He immediately starts degrading me. He's not yelling, but he's saying things like, "How could you forget your passport? It's the only reason you went to your car. I just don't get how you didn't think to grab it. And the one that hurt the most, all of this is because you even lost your wallet in the first place." He is saying all of this in a very frustrated, angry tone. So I start crying, and this is pretty much the first time I've ever cried in front of him. He immediately flips the switch, he starts apologizing and being so sweet to me. I was trying to get out of the car and he pulled me back in to give me a hug. He starts saying stuff along the lines of, "It's so fine, they're not gonna ask for your ID. It's okay. I'm so sorry. Don't cry." I stop crying, we go to the bar, and we have a great night. I honestly don't have any complaints from the rest of the night. He asked me to drive us home afterwards, and I was kind of surprised because he's never asked me to do that before. I'm driving his car and we listen to country music because it's his car and that's the music he likes to listen to. I personally am not a huge fan of country music, this will be relevant later. Once we get home, I can tell he's a little drunk because he's being so sweet on me. We're in bed and he's saying, "I really like you, my friends really like you, you're so cool, I appreciate everything you do for me." I tell him thank you and that I like him too, and we go to bed. Saturday is where it gets really bad. Saturday, I decided to split ways with Mike and his friends at 2:30. The game isn't until 7:30, and Mike had lunch reservations with his friends' parents. I didn't want to be around because I knew there was going to be a lot of drinking, and I wasn't invited to lunch by the parents. I also thought it would be a good idea to get in a break since Mike and I were spending a lot of time together. I drop him and his friends off in College Town and go home to get ready for dinner at 7 with my own friend who had come from out of town. While CJ and Liz are at the game, Mike goes to a sports bar to watch a baseball game and also keep tabs on football. I get done with dinner at around 9 p.m. and I text Mike that I'm on the way to the bar. I then realized that I forgot to feed my cat and I have to get gas, so I go do those things first. Now this is my fault. I don't text Mike about these pit stops because I assumed he was content watching sports and it wouldn't be a huge deal if I show up a little later since all of our plans were pretty loose anyways. Don't forget to support my channel by subscribing, thank you. I finally show up to the bar and Mike is extremely drunk. He immediately starts harping on me for being late and doesn't stop. He almost makes me cry again, there's tears in my eyes, but he finally starts to let it go a little bit. We're watching baseball together and I can tell he's really drunk because he's explaining the same things over and over again about the baseball game. I don't mind him being drunk, however, I notice he is very into the sports game at the moment and doesn't really ask me about how my dinner went. I thought I looked really nice, I had my tits pushed up to my chin, and he didn't tell me I looked good until I prompted him to, but all that's okay. The college football game finally ends and CJ and Liz decide to go to a pizza place that's kind of near the stadium. Mike and I are going to meet them there since they need a ride home. Once Mike and I get in my car, he refuses to let me play my own music. He keeps changing it to country no matter what I do. At one point I am literally begging him and telling him it's not funny anymore. I was already really stressed out driving with the game day traffic and a bunch of roads being blocked off, on top of my social anxiety of feeling like I have to impress CJ and Liz. I really would have liked to just be able to listen to my own music. I try to healthily communicate and explain to him that I really don't like country music that much and I'm already here driving you around, so it's the least you could do to let me listen to my own music. He's so drunk it's just going in one ear and out the other, he doesn't give a fuck. So we park and we start walking half a mile to the pizza place. On the walk there, I'm trying to explain to him my feelings, and I'm like, hey, I go watch all these sports games, and that's something I don't necessarily want to do. I do it because I care about you and the things you like. I just wish that same appreciation and respect would be extended towards me. Instead of listening to what I'm saying, he basically lasers in on me saying, I don't like to watch football, and I wish I would be appreciated, and he twists it to me saying that I want to be thanked for watching football. He doesn't care about the music in the car, or what I said about extending respect. He starts ranting, I'm not going to thank you for watching football, I don't fucking care if you like football or not. Everyone likes football, it's an enjoyable thing, so I'm not gonna thank you for watching something that you should just be enjoying, and then he follows it up by saying I'm the king. We're going to watch football, and if you don't like it, you can go find some other guy. I just go dead silent since I am very anti-conflict. I grew up in a very chaotic household, so I really don't like fighting, and I was honestly just taken aback. I had never thought I would meet someone who would actually say something like that. I know he was drunk, but it was so humiliating. I'm silent for the rest of the walk. He asked me what's wrong, how the fuck do you not know what's wrong after you said that, and I tell him nothing because I know that even if I try to talk to him it's not going to do anything. So we get there, and it's okay, he kind of settles down a little bit now that he's around his friends. The time at the pizza place was fine, besides when I said something, I don't even remember what I said, and he looked at me and said, well, you don't have to be such a b****** h about it. Maybe I'm crazy, but I felt like me. CJ and Liz all looked at each other and telepathically were like, what did he just say? But I just laughed and played it off as a joke. I drive everyone home in my car. Mike doesn't let me listen to my music again. I feel like I can't fight with him over it because there's other people in the car, so I let it go. We get to his house and I ask him if he wants his piece of cake I brought from dinner. He says yeah, so I give it to him and he just hands it back to me and looks at me. I look at him and I say, do you want to heat it up on a plate for you? And he says yeah without saying please or anything. I guess I set myself up for that by asking him, but him just staring at me while handing the cake back felt really rude. The next day on Sunday, he wakes up and is extremely remorseful. He seems to be genuinely sorry, and I really like this guy, so I kind of put it to the side. I don't outright say that I forgive him, I tell him that he said a lot of things that made me really upset, and it might take me a bit to get over it. Since his friends are still there and football is on, they watch some games. I make an afternoon snack for him and his friends, and cook a lot of chicken for him to be able to eat throughout the week since it was already there. I then go sit at the dining room table and study, so there's some space in between us. His friends leave, he goes and works out, and then we have sex before I leave. The sex was honestly the reason I stayed so long. I should have left that morning, but I wanted to get some. I also didn't want to cause drama while his friends were over. He gives me a kiss goodbye, and ever since I left on Sunday, he's been really distant. It's the last week of his current rotation and he has a really big test on Friday, so I know he's probably stressed out. He texted me and said, "Hey, I'm sorry I've been so non-communicative lately. I just need a little bit of space and I've been legit super busy." It kind of feels weird that he's going to treat me like that over the weekend and then tell me that he needs space. I feel really pushed to the side because I guess I expected more than just an apology after doing me so dirty over the weekend. And it's kind of funny that he's probably sitting there every night eating the chicken I cooked for him and then choosing to not say anything to me because he needs space. We were supposed to go on a trip this weekend, but he hasn't said anything about it. I low-key still really want to go on the trip. I really like him and I've never seen him this way before. I know being drunk isn't an excuse, but he was very drunk. I don't know what to do. I'm giving him the space he asked for, and if he never reaches out again, then I guess that's it for us. But if he is actually busy and does want to reconvene over the weekend, should I give him another chance? Was this just a drunken mistake that he's now feeling shame over? Or is this a sign that it could become a repeated pattern? Thank you for watching. Subscribe to my channel. There are many interesting articles ahead.